Hey, this is Kyle Battis from New Hampshire Strategic Marketing. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the truth about ranking on Google. Showing up on the front page of Google is what it's all about if you're a small local business, service area business, or even a national business, frankly, for that matter. Um, so many people, when they search, they're not going past page one. I always joke with clients, if you want to hide the evidence of a crime, just put it on page two of Google. No one's ever going to find it because most people, the data show, are just going to the front page, and that's where 99% of the clicks are going. Okay. So if you really want to maximize how many leads, how many customers you're getting from the internet and from your website, you've got to be focused on how do I rank? How do I show up on the front page of Google in as many ways as possible? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about that. So let's dive in and see what we can do. Okay. First and foremost is why SEO matters. Like, what is SEO? SEO stands for search engine optimization. And really, we're just trying to get our business on the front page of Google. Okay. And I think a lot you can complicate SEO, and there's all kinds of nuanced things like site speed and technical SEO and backlinking. That's all stuff that is important for sure. But if you kind of boil it down to what SEO really is, it's Google trying to understand who you are, what you do, and where you do it. Okay. Who you are, what you do, and where you do it. All right. And that could mean a lot of different things for a lot of different businesses. So you got to look at it through the lens of for your business, who are you? What services do you offer? What products do you sell? And geographically, where do you deliver those services? Some businesses are service area businesses, right? Like they service these towns or these counties or this state, right? Or this collection of states. Some businesses are regional, maybe they do all of New England, or they have a focus of, a United States only, right? Some are international. So, really look at it through the lens of your business. But from an SEO perspective, we're trying to really maximize who you are, what you do, and where you do it. Okay. So we got to get on the page of Google. And if you're, the front page of Google, and if you're not on the front page, then the chances are your customers aren't going to find you in those Google searches. All right. So what is search engine optimization? It's really, trying to get more website visibility, get your website to show up more often for keywords. And everything in Google is really focused on keywords. So the whole Google, search engine is really focused on how do we show up for specific keyword searches that are indicative of our potential customers trying to find us, right? And SEO is trying to educate Google that we should be ranking for those keywords. We should be showing up on the front page for those specific keywords, right? And the businesses that do a better job with their SEO of kind of educating Google and training the robots that are crawling over the spiders that crawl over your website, getting them to understand who you are, what you do, and that you should be relevant and rank for those keywords, then you show up on the front page. So it starts with, educating Google. That's going to develop the website visibility, which is going to turn into traffic to your website. All right. And that's going to turn into the website has to do its job then of converting those people, convincing them that you are who you say you are, you can handle the job that they have in mind, that you service their area, and then educate them and provide proof that you're good at what you do. And this is more of a conversion type element that you've done it for other people, social proof, having testimonials, case studies, before and after photos, projects, that kind of stuff that's going to give people the confidence that they should, take that next step and contact you, right? Convincing them that, because customers always have, and potential customers have in the back of their minds, a question that they're continually asking is like, why should I do business with you over somebody else? So your website needs to subtly convey, some good reasons why they should choose you over somebody else, and then make it easy for them to do it. And that's a whole nother thing that we see people mess up all the time is maybe they do a good job with their SEO, but they don't make it easy for the customer to contact them. You got to have a very mobile friendly site. I know that a vast majority of your website traffic nowadays is somebody on one of these mobile devices, that they have surgically attached to their hand, right? So your site has to be mobile friendly. You have to have a mobile first approach with your website and the strategy. So that's really important as well. All right, so let's move on and talk about the next piece here. So why does your business need SEO? Like if you want more customers, if you want more phone calls, if you want more website traffic, then you've got to have good SEO. All right. And that's a pretty obvious thing, right? A lot of business owners I find have this kind of false belief that if you build it, they will come. Like if you remember the movie, and I'm dating myself here, Kevin Costner in Field of Dreams, the famous line from that movie was, if you build it, they will come. It doesn't work like that with websites. There's billions of websites on the internet, and Google has got a very big, daunting job of trying to categorize all the world's information and make it easy, right, for them. So just the fact that you built the website, a super basic website, like that's a start, but you shouldn't have the expectation that it's just going to start ranking. That's very different. Building the website is one thing, and I think a lot of website designers, a lot of business owners kind of perpetuate this myth of if you build it, they will come, but it's more complicated than that. You've got to then do the next step of having good on-page SEO, good title tags, good meta descriptions, good content on the page, having individual service pages for each of the services that you offer, have location pages for the where you want to rank, right? Trying to educate Google who you are, what you do, where you do it, right? So SEO is more complicated than just building a website. That's a start, but you got to keep going with that if you really want to get SEO. You want to rank well on the front page of Google, which should be your ultimate goal. A website is better than nothing. It checks the box of having something, but then you've got to optimize that website, optimize on page, off page to get that thing to actually rank. Okay, let's move on. So another cool thing, on kind of very related and intimately tied in with the the SEO is showing up on the front page is combining paid Google advertising with your search engine optimization. This is like the best of both worlds. The quickest, fastest way to get on the front page of Google is to use pay-per-click advertising, where you're purposely bidding on specific keywords, running an ad that shows up on the front page of Google, potentially in multiple spots, because you could have the pay-per-click ad that's up top, okay? And if you've got a business with a Google business profile and you've got a physical address associated with that, not all businesses have that. Some are service area businesses, so you're not going to be eligible for what's called a location extension ad in the Maps pack. But you could be showing up with a paid ad in the Maps pack if you are a true location business with a location. All right, so you be showing up there as well. All right, but the beautiful thing is when you're running paid ads and you're showing up in the Maps pack with another paid ad, and you're potentially ranking organically in the Maps pack, and then your website's ranking even further down below. That's where you're dominating the front page of Google. All right, and we call it the Google monopoly, where just like in the board game Monopoly, the more properties that you've got on that Monopoly board, you're maximizing the opportunities that somebody's going to land on one of your properties and choose to do business with you over one of your competitors, right? So that is a really big strategy. And the data, the statistics on if you've got multiple placements on the front page of Google, the click-through rate, the percentage of how many people will actually see that listing, whether it's a paid, a Maps pack listing or a website listing down further below, the click-through rate on any of those is going to be dramatically higher. All right, and it just makes sense. The more listings that you have on the front page, the more it kind of conveys a subtle, these guys must be good kind of idea or notion in your perspective or your potential customer's mind. All right, and the likelihood of them clicking on one of those listings is dramatically higher, and the evidence does back that. Okay, so this is if you've got the budget and if you've got the margins where pay-per-click advertising makes sense, and typically it's for higher ticket services where it actually makes sense. It can be competitive, but it is a great strategy if the math makes sense for you to combine SEO with Google Ads. Okay, we've helped many clients grow to multi-million-dollar businesses with that kind of approach. All right. So let's go back to keywords, right? Keywords are the language that tells Google what your website is about. In this example, it's a landscaper, right, that does hardscaping and patio installation, right? Um, Somebody might be searching for patio installers near me, right? If you think about the search intent of why somebody might be typing in a keyword like that, is they probably want a patio to be installed in their backyard. They're trying to add an outdoor living space to their backyard and create a little backyard oasis, right? And now they're on the hunt. They've saved up money. They're on the hunt for somebody to do that. That's going to be good at installing that patio in their backyard. All right. We want to be showing up on the front page for somebody doing those kind of searches for sure, because that is the buyer intent of somebody's typing in that type of keyword in your area is a very high likelihood that they're going to be a buyer. So we want to be showing, if you want more of those type of jobs, you've got to optimize your website and your online marketing to be prominently displayed on the front page of Google for those types of keywords. That's what good SEO is all about. All right. So your pages must be optimized for the right searches to attract that relevant traffic. Right. So it's really understanding what people might be searching for, what kind of services that you want to be promoting, and reverse engineering your website and SEO to be showing up for that. And I've got a perfect example of that. We've got a client right now that we've done paid ads for in the past, but he's bringing us on to help him with his website right now. And he's got a pretty website. He's got beautiful, this guy does phenomenal work, beautiful photography of the types of projects he's done for these multi-million-dollar estates. But a friend of his built the website, all right? And they did a nice job as far as making it look good, all right? The problem is he gets no business at all currently from his website. Hasn't since he put it up years ago, right? And the reason being is his search engine optimization is completely non-existent for that. The structure of how the website was built, the page architecture, the title tags, the meta descriptions, the keywords, the content on the pages, it's just missing completely. Google has no idea who this guy is. Well, they have an idea of who he is, but they don't have a clear picture of his services currently. They don't have a clear picture of the areas he works in, right? So part of the work that we're going to be doing with him to re-engineer his website is completely gutting out certain pages, building out missing pages that are currently not there at all, adding in geographic explanation of like what his service area looks like, and building out location pages for those towns and cities, and just making it much more clear to Google who this guy is, the types of projects he takes on, and making that clearly abundant to Google, right? And that is missing, frankly, for him right now, and that's why he's got really poor SEO. But we identified that problem. It made complete sense to him, and now we're moving quickly to help him get that fixed up. All right. So another piece that's often overlooked is website security. Secure sites rank better in Google. So your site has to be HTTPS, SSL. You have to have an SSL certificate. Google prioritizes secure websites. So your site must have the little lock icon. You got to have an SSL certificate. If you don't have a secure website, you're not going to rank, okay? This used to not be as important, but Google planted their flag and made this a priority because they want to protect online visitors and users, right? So you've got to have that, and it is essential now. So this is table stakes now. If you want to sit down and play the game of having a website online for your business, it has to be HTTPS, has to be secure. Okay. So how SEO helps you beat your competition? Good SEO helps you rank above your competitors. It increases your online visibility and attracts more customers. Like if you're going to have a website, you might as well make it a good one that actually ranks and shows up and has the highest capacity of potentially earning you leads and customers from the internet. All right. So if you're going to play the game, you might as well have something that is, helping you win the game for sure. All right. So, and you got to just, have all the right pieces of the puzzle in here for sure. All right. Let's talk about The first step, when we sit down and work with the client on their search engine optimization, one of the first things we do is we'll do online research, right? We'll look at the competitors. We'll do keyword searches and see how they stack up right now. We'll run ranking reports, right? We're looking at the competitors that are winning in the game currently, and making it, it's pretty easy to dissect. There's the beautiful thing about the internet and internet marketing is there's no secrets as to why somebody is outranking. If you know where to look and you know how to analyze a site and analyze the competition, we can reverse engineer why that competitor is currently beating our client, right? And then we can figure out what do we need to do to gain traction on that competitor, right? And it's a pretty clear roadmap, and it might entail filling in some gaps, building out location pages, building out better content on the service pages, optimizing title tags, meta descriptions, potentially getting more reviews on a Google business profile, or a combination of all those pieces together, doing some directory building for sure. So looking at the competitors, looking at the keywords, looking at the backlink, looking at their traffic sources, all of that can give us and help us formulate the game plan for your specific SEO plan to help you improve your rankings in Google, right? So every business is different, right? So your SEO plan should be customized to your market, to your competition, to your goals, right? One of the things we're always looking at is what's working, what's missing, and what's next for your business, right? And it's got to fit the types of projects that you want to be attracting, right? We don't want to optimize your website for something that you don't really want to be doing. Like, why would we want to do that, right? Like maybe you've got 5, 6 different services that you offer, but you've got one or two that are really the bread and butter, and you're really like, anytime you get those types of projects, it turns into much more revenue for the business, right? Same amount of effort to optimize for one of those that's going to have a much greater impact on the bottom line to your business versus optimizing for a smaller service that isn't really your main focus, right? So customizing the plan, and this is probably a downfall I see from a lot of other agencies where they take a cookie cutter approach where this is our SEO plan. We got option A, B, C, right? But when we look at some of those plans and some of the plans that our clients that moved over to us, compared to what they were doing before, what they were doing before is a very cookie cutter approach that didn't really take into account where that particular client was in the evolution of their business, what their goals were, how they stacked up against their competition, what their strengths were, what their weaknesses were, from an SEO standpoint. So we really take that to heart, and we do a very in-depth analysis before we start digging into anything and diving into that. So really important to look at the holistic view of this if you really want to do it. So the ultimate goal of SEO is to get more visibility, which will yield more website traffic, which is going to get you more customers. That's what we want, all right? So if you want to rank higher on Google, I invite you to schedule a strategy session with me, all right? And what we can do is we can take a look at where you are, right now. We might take the next step of doing a very in-depth audit, which is, usually where we go a lot of the times, to see exactly what's needed to get you ranking higher, right? So if you're interested in kind of figuring out how can you improve your SEO, what needs to be done exactly, is the plan that you're currently doing working, right? Or are you missing some key variables? And we see that all the time where people are paying another agency for activity that looks good from the outside, but isn't moving the needle to what they really want. We see that all the time where people are doing generic blog posts that are not getting them what they want, or they're spending a lot of work and time and resources and money on activities that are never going to move the needle, right? So having a good strategy, it starts with good strategy first, right? So that's where we kind of start. So I invite you to book a meeting with me. We can get in, talk, potentially take the next step of doing an in-depth audit, and then come up with a very specific strategy that'll move you measurably in the direction that you want to go, and run reports and show you the ranking improvements and potential and increases over time. All right, so this has been Kyle Battis from New Hampshire Strategic Marketing. I hope you got some value from watching this video. If you did, throw a like on there, throw a comment in there, and I hope you book a meeting with me. And just go to meetwithkyle.com, and that'll pull up my calendar. You can book a meeting directly with yours truly, and I hope to be talking to you soon. Have a great day. Take care.